So today, with what's going on, you said something. You said the secular movement. You said 200 years ago. I would say probably Woodrow Wilson when they took Bible out of school and people stopped having to go through some of the things. So for me, it would be 117 years ago maybe. But let's just say you're saying 200 years ago, fine. The secular movement where man fears a higher power less. It's like, whatever, yeah, I get it. It's totally fine. I'm not,
Sure.
We're no longer seeing, hey, president get up and, give us a prayer, or you go to school and prayer and, whether you believe or not, the power of prayer is a way of telling a kid that, hey, there's somebody that's watching over you where you're by yourself and you're fearing. You don't have to commit suicide because you can pray and speak to somebody. You are not by yourself. Somebody has your back. I just see the side effects of the direction we're going without a God, whether it's true or not. Because, the way I look at it is if you start a country, let's just say you start a country today and the five of us are going to start a country. You're going to be the president. I'm going to be a general of a military. He's going to be the one that's checking everyone's IDs to see what, how good looking they are, whatever. Kai's going to do a different job. Tyler's going to do a different job. Would I build my country on a foundation of a faith or without it? I think whether people believe in the faith or not, to build it on a foundation of a faith is going to have a higher chances of doing better than one not being built on a certain set of values and principles. Because if you don't, then people are going to create their own set of values and principles. So if we're not living by the same set of values and principles, then I don't have to meet your values and principles. I don't care what you believe in. I don't believe in what you believe in, so I don't have to be committed to your values and principles. I can do whatever the hell I want to do. I don't care if I earn your loyalty or your trust or your relationship. Then there's that confusion, right? So for somebody like yourself, because you know that whole saying, you said this on the last podcast, strong leaders build good times, good leaders build, weak leaders build bad times, bad leaders build strong leaders, and that whole thing's going. Do you think your generation, not your father's, do you think your generation is a generation of strong leaders?
My generation?
Yours.
No, exceptionally weak leaders.
So isn't okay, so you said that. So if that's the case and that's what you're saying, what do you think is the responsibility of your generation to share with maybe our generation so we don't continue that, same, so we can learn something. So say, hey, you guys got to pay attention to X, Y, Z. Let me tell you what's going on right now in the world, specifically in America. I've been in Paris for 25 years. I've been watching you guys from the outside. The America I'm used to is America used to be but today's America is da. You guys got to be careful with these 5 things. You have zero interest in.
That's not a question you're going to get me to answer. You know that.
No, I don't know that.
Yeah, of course. I mean, how can I appear on
Gamble
this
a little
show?
bit.
No, how can I appear as a prophet? Do I have any
I didn't say prophet. No,
well, it's a prophetic task you're assigning me.
No, but I'm talking. Look. For example, okay, say if he's dating a girl, okay, and he says, Pat, he hasn't done it yet, but if he says, Pat, this is the first time I'm asking you for a double date because I want to get your opinion on it. He's never asked me, which means what? He's never dated a girl that's that serious, okay? He's never asked me. But the day comes when he asks me, I want to go on a double date. I think this thing's getting a little bit serious. I want to get your feedback on it, okay? So we go, and I meet her, and we walk away. And he says, so what do you think? And I had a 2.5-hour dinner with her. So I really got a chance. So she sat right in front of me, and he sat right in front of my wife. So they're talking, and I'm learning about her, right? And what do you think? And I say, I would suggest, I really like their energy. I think you guys are going to be good. But, I take my time. I would give some kind of counsel as a friend to look at for my friend, my brother, right? I would give some kind of a counsel to say, it's not necessarily prophetic, but it's more counsel to say, odds-wise, the odds are, son, here's what I would do before you get married. The odds are, if you want to take care, I've been a financial advisor for 20 plus years, right? I don't sit with a client and saying, guaranteed we're going to get you 12%. I can't say, guaranteed you're going to heaven. Guaranteed America is going to be better. I'm asking you based on odds and your wisdom in your life. What do you tell us? What can we be prepared for? Because we don't want to get another bad time.
If you want to go out and introduce me to your girlfriend, I'll give you my honest opinion. If you want my wisdom, my inexpressible wisdom about the course of American society,
yes.
And a recommendation for what we collectively should be doing, I have to discourage you. I don't have that. I don't
know
have
about
that.
Why are you playing safe, though, David? Why are you playing so safe? I don't know why you're. You said something earlier. You said, the level of interest in people in me right now is, like versus what it used to be at this age. I'm the opposite. Like I enjoy talking to people when their age starts with an 8. I don't know. I can't tell you how many people I've interviewed.
That's another aspect in which we're different. I don't.
Oh, I know you don't. I'm telling you. Well, your interest is different than my interest is, but my interest is I want to suck as much wisdom from you as possible because that's the edge in life. I pray for 4 things: courage, wisdom, tolerance, understanding. But for me, like I have a painting of my in the club room. You know who's in the club room? Everybody in the painting that I have. I'm in it, plus 7 other people. The 7 other people that are in it, none of them are here.
All right, let me ask you a question.
Yes, please.
Let me ask you a question.
Go for it.
What kind of answer would satisfy you coming from my lips? You don't have to be specific, just in general.
I would tell you what kind of answer would satisfy me. The answer that is the most thought out answer and as real as possible. I'm not looking for an answer that I want to hear. That's not my style. I'm a leader. I'm not soft. I'm strong. I'm looking for an answer for you to give to say, here's where my generation screwed up. Okay? If I had it my way, as much as I'm somebody that's agnostic, I do think faith plays a very important role. Or maybe it's not. Maybe it's we got soft because, we didn't pay attention to the XYZ, and we should have. I notice America kind of went this direction. They try to be too much like Europe, and they shouldn't have. America was the leader. They try to be like, I don't know what it is. But whatever's in your mind to say, here's what I would pass down to you. Because you said weak leaders, your generation. I did not say it. You said your dad is the epitome of a leader where your son who's born in 1973, if you're going to be a man's man, look at your grandpa. And I agree, that's a man's man, right? But I'm asking you, what can we learn from what you've seen so we don't screw this shit up? Because I got 4 kids. I got a 10, 8, and a 5-year-old and a 9-month-old. You just saw the 5-year-old in here. My daughter was in a podcast running around. I want to learn from you. Sincerely, I want to learn from you so I don't screw it up myself.
All I can tell you is I've been out of country for 25 years now. My experience has all been centered in France. Coming back regarding the United States, it seems to me, on the one hand, an enormous amount of energy is present in the United States, an enormous amount of exhilaration, an enormous amount of optimism, strangely enough. And at the same time, I can see very clearly there are all-consuming social divisions, cultural and social divisions. All right, I see it. Are you asking me for a diagnosis and the respect in which my generation made decisions that led to this? Well, sure, that's inevitably true. The generation that came to power in the 1960s witnessed a collapse of authority. That's unmistakably true, a collapse of political, moral, intellectual, social, and sexual authority. And that has reverberated for the succeeding 50 years. There's no question about that. We're still living with decisions made in the 1960s, say the period between 1962 and 1971, 1972, when tendencies acquired a certain fixity of direction. But that's not necessarily to say anything about a generation screwing up, because that inculpates a generation in something they did deliberately. And I think the fundamental facts of the 1960s is not that anyone did anything deliberately, but they were all victims of a process of interior collapse. Not the first time in the 20th century we've seen that. I mean, you can go to France and say the 1930s and see a very similar dynamic at work. So no, I don't think it's a question that my generation or the baby boomer generation screwed up, but that at a certain period of time, a great many contingencies occurred simultaneously. The wars of Indo-Chinese succession, proceeding apace no matter what the Americans did or thought socially or culturally. The assassination of JFK, which no one expected, which disrupted the political continuity of American life. The ascension to power of Lyndon Johnson, who was a magnificent domestic politician, but very inexperienced in foreign policy. The progressive aging of a foreign policy establishment that successfully fought the Second World War and navigated the Cold War with the Russians in the 1950s. The fact that there was an enormous increase in young people aged 15 to 25 as the result of the end of the Second World War. That's why they were called the baby boomer generation. The fact that every time there's an enormous population cohort, a bulge in the population, there's bound to be some sort of strife, fraternal strife, social strife, because every new generation needs to be disciplined and domesticated. The larger the generation, the more difficult it is to enforce the authority of the previous generations. All these things came together in the 1960s. Nobody intended that they come together. They did come together. And we are living with the repercussions ever since. In addition to all that, the 1960s was a continuation of an historical process that goes back at least to the French Revolution, that is the increasing secularization of the social order, the withdrawal of established institutions of religion, for example, the Catholic Church in France, but the Protestant clergy in the United States as well. And you can trace it out step by step. If you look at English poetry from 1820 to 1850, you can see an arc. 1820, you have someone like Lord Byron saying the Assyrian came down like a wolf on the fold and his cohorts were gleaming in purple and gold. And the poem is about the destruction of an Assyrian army. The poem ends...
The famine? You're talking about the famine?
No, the destruction of Sennacherib.
Got it.
And the might of the Gentile, unsmote by the sword, hath withered like snow in the glance of the Lord. Now, this is a flimsy poem. It's not a great piece of poetry. The date is 1822, and Byron could write in the expectation that every one of his readers would understand that he was participating in what was still a Christian society. It may not have been a completely committed Christian society, but the architecture was as plain as the architecture of Notre Dame. You go 30 years into the future. It's not a long time. You have Matthew Arnold writing Dover Beach. He says, "O my beloved, let us be true to one another, for the world which lies about us like a land of dreams hath neither really joy, nor light, nor life, nor certitude, nor peace, nor health from pain. And we are on as on a darkling plain, swept by confused alarms of struggle and flight, where ignorant armies clash by night." That's a completely different worldview. Byron could not have understood that. He's talking about the melancholy, long withdrawal of faith from the European continent. 30 years, you see a change, a dramatic change in the diapason of European life. And you can continue that right through to T.S. Eliot, W.H. Auden, Philip Larkin. The decline has been not necessarily linear, but it's been inexorable. So all these things play a role in talking about, when I talk about the generation that came just after me, the baby boomer generation, I don't think any lessons can be learned for what are historical necessities. What we see is a great many contingencies occurring at the same time, roughly the same 10-year period. And then bang, a lot of different trajectories set as if they were canals dividing the sand. And that's very different. I can talk till I'm blue in the face about the collapse of authority, which I witnessed myself in a university setting. I saw all the people I respected deeply, for example, crumble in the face of student protests, just crumble. I saw that at Columbia, I saw that at Princeton, I saw that at Stanford, less at Stanford, but I saw it at Berkeley as well.
Berkeley, of course.
And, you have pig-ignorant people like Mario Savio at Berkeley getting up on top of a car and denouncing a system which was in every respect one of the glories of American democracy, the California university system. And the university officials, I was right there. I watched them saying, yeah, you're right. Bow down low, scrape the ground with their nose. And all that I could think of at the time, and a few other people thinking the same thing, how dismal to see this great tongue fall so low as to lick the dust.
If you enjoyed this short clip, click over here to watch another short clip. And if you want to watch the entire episode, the entire podcast, click here.